All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a really fascinating story from the Old Testament, the book of Nehemiah. It's all about leadership and, believe it or not, urban renewal.
So the question is, what does it really take to rebuild a city that's in ruins and a community that's completely broken? This isn't just some old historical question. It's the central challenge in this incredible story of a truly remarkable leader and a project that was, well, about as high stakes as it gets. And you'll see it has some pretty powerful lessons for us today. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story doesn't actually start in Jerusalem. No, it begins hundreds of miles away in Susa, the capital of the mighty Persian Empire. I mean, think massive comfort, huge influence, which makes what our main character does next all the more incredible. And this is where we meet Nehemiah. His job title, a cupbearer to King Artaxerxes. Now, don't let the name fool you. A cupbearer was way more than just a servant. This was a super high-ranking official, a trusted confidant to the king. His job was literally to taste the king's wine to make sure it wasn't poisoned. So Nehemiah had it made, a secure, privileged life. But his heart was still with his people, all those miles away in Judah. And then he gets this just heartbreaking news. The walls of Jerusalem are in ruins, and his people are in serious trouble. I mean, this report just crushes him. You have to understand, that wall was the physical symbol of their identity, their security. And it was just gone, a pile of rubble. And it's this moment of pure heartbreak that kicks off this unbelievably ambitious and frankly dangerous mission. He decides he has to ask the most powerful man on earth for permission to just up and leave his post, to go and rebuild. And you know what? Incredibly, the king says yes. So Nehemiah heads out, armed with royal letters for safe passage and a brand new title, governor. He arrives in Jerusalem ready to go. But as he's about to find out, getting the king's permission is one thing, actually getting the job done, that's a whole other ballgame. I mean, the second the work begins, the trouble starts. These local governors, guys named Sanballat and Tobiah, they see a rebuilt Jerusalem and think, uh-oh, that's a threat to our power. So they start mocking the builders, they conspire against them, they are actively trying to sabotage the whole project. It creates this environment of just constant pressure and real danger. And yet, get this, the wall was finished in just 52 days. 52 days. I mean, stop and think about that for a second. They're under this constant threat of attack. Enemies are literally plotting against them, and they still managed to finish this massive construction project. It's just an unbelievable feat of project management and sheer willpower from the community. So you gotta ask, how in the world was that even possible? Well, it all came down to Nehemiah's leadership. The guy was a brilliant organizer. He delegated different sections of the wall to different families, so they all had a sense of ownership. But it was more than that. He inspired them to work with like a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. He somehow unified an entire community behind one single, incredibly powerful mission. Okay, so the wall is built. Mission accomplished, right? Well, not exactly. Because finishing that wall, that was really just the beginning. Nehemiah realized pretty quickly that the biggest threat wasn't actually the enemies outside the city. It was a different kind of rot. A kind of decay that was growing right inside the community itself. And this right here really gets to the heart of the whole story. See, it wasn't enough to just protect the city from outside armies if the community on the inside was falling apart. The physical wall, a total success. But Nehemiah could see that the people's spiritual foundation, their commitment to their shared laws and values, that was basically crumbling. So with the physical walls now secure, Nehemiah had to shift his focus to something much, much harder. Rebuilding the people's spirit. This was about renewing their identity, about getting them to recommit to their shared faith. And you have to understand, for Nehemiah, these weren't two separate projects. They were totally inseparable. What's the point of a strong wall around a weak community? It's pointless, right? The whole goal was to have a strong, dedicated community protected by that wall. The physical building was always just step one, paving the way for this deeper spiritual reform. And he didn't mess around. He tackled this head on. He actually left for a while, and when he came back, he found people were already backsliding, forgetting their commitments. So he started enforcing the laws from the Torah again, specifically calling out things like marrying outside the faith, because he saw that as a direct threat to who they were as a people.
He wasn't just a builder anymore, he was a reformer, and he was determined to see this whole restoration project through to its spiritual end.
Okay, so let's zoom out. After all of that, the political drama, the lightning-fast construction, the tough community reforms, what are the big takeaways from this ancient story? What does it teach us about project management and spiritual renewal?
Well, the book of Nehemiah really lays out some powerful, timeless principles. First, it shows how a really deep faith can lead to incredibly practical action. Then you see the amazing power of a community that's organized around one shared mission. It's also basically a masterclass in how to persevere when things get tough. And maybe most importantly, it's this great reminder that any truly strong structure, whether it's a city or a whole society, needs two things: a solid physical foundation and an even more solid foundation of shared values. And really, that's the big question his story leaves us with, isn't it? It's a question that echoes all the way from ancient Jerusalem right into our lives today. It asks us to stop and think, what do we value most? What are the ideals, the communities, or the principles in our own lives that are so important we're willing to do that hard, necessary work of protecting and rebuilding them?